At 79, Rod Carew's dark past finally revealed, and it all started with his father's fists. The baseball legend who won 7 batting titles wasn't always a hero. His story begins in the poor neighborhoods of Panama, where young Rod lived in constant fear. His own father, Eric Sr., used him as a punching bag. The man who should have protected him turned him into a victim. Baseball was the one thing that kept me from killing my father. Those chilling words from Carew himself showed just how bad things were. His violent alcoholic father made home a place of terror. Day after day, Rod and his mother suffered beatings that left more than just bruises. They left scars that would shape his entire life. For young Rod, baseball wasn't just a game. It was his only escape. While other kids played for fun, he played to survive. He and his friends couldn't afford real equipment, so they hit bottle caps with broomsticks and made mitts from paper bags. This early practice built the hand-eye skills that would one day make him famous, but it came from a place of pain. At 14, Rod finally escaped to New York City with his mother. But the damage was done. The abuse turned him into someone who kept his feelings locked away. His teammates later noticed how private he was, how he seemed to run from problems both on and off the field. He called it his flight mode, an instinct to flee when things got tough. By the time Rod reached the major leagues with the Minnesota Twins, his talent was clear. That crouch batting stance, the laser-focused eyes, the way he seemed to guide the ball rather than hit it, all of it made pitchers fear him. From 1969 to 1978, nobody in baseball hit better than Rod Carew. His bat control seemed magical. He won 7 American League batting titles and made the All-Star team every single season. But inside, the scars remained. The quiet, intense player kept most people at a distance. Even as fans cheered his name, few knew the broken boy beneath the uniform. Then came 1978, the year everything exploded. In September, Twins owner Calvin Griffith spoke at a Lions Club dinner in Waseca, Minnesota. Unaware a reporter was present, Griffith unleashed racist comments that would change Carew's career forever. "I'll tell you why we came to Minnesota," Griffith told the all-white audience. "It was when I found out you only had 15,000 blacks here. Black people don't go to ball games, but they'll fill up a wrestling ring and put up such a chant, it'll scare you to death." But Griffith wasn't done. He publicly called Carew a damn fool for signing his contract, adding that he wasn't worth what he was being paid. When Carew heard about these comments, he erupted with a fury few had ever seen from the normally reserved player. "I will not ever sign another contract with this organization," he declared to reporters. "I don't care how much money Calvin Griffith offers me." Then came the words that showed how deeply cut he felt. "I will not come back and play for a bigot. I'm not going to be another nigger on his plantation." To make his point even clearer, he spat on the locker room floor and said, "Spit on Calvin Griffith." By February 1979, Carew was traded to the California Angels. The racism he encountered wasn't just about feeling offended, it was about his dignity as a professional and as a human being. The incident revealed that even famous athletes weren't protected from the sting of prejudice. Off the field, Rod had started a family, marrying his first wife, Marilyn, and having 3 daughters. But the real test of his strength was still to come. In September 1995, his youngest daughter, Michelle, just 17 years old, was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, a deadly form of blood cancer. The diagnosis thrust Rod into a new kind of batter's box, one where the stakes were life and death. Michelle needed a bone marrow transplant to survive, but finding a match proved nearly impossible because of her mixed heritage. Rod's Panamanian and West Indian background combined with Marilyn's Russian-Jewish ancestry created a unique genetic makeup that wasn't well represented in donor registries. In the same way Rod Carew used his pain to help others, you can turn your love for sports into smarter choices, like how you watch the game. Fubo gives fans everything they need. No cable, no hassle. Live sports the smart way. Check out our affiliate link below to support the channel. Desperate to save his daughter, Rod did something completely out of character for such a private man. He stepped into the spotlight, not to celebrate his baseball achievements, but to beg strangers for help. He appeared on television shows and gave countless interviews. He approached people in grocery stores, restaurants, and car washes with a simple question: "Have you helped a child today?" His campaign led an estimated 70,000 people to join bone marrow registries. But for Michelle, time was running out. In March 1996, she underwent a rare umbilical cord blood transplant, a procedure developed for patients who couldn't find traditional donors. Sadly, it was too late. Michelle died in April 1996, just 18 years old. Rod later learned the cord blood was beginning to engraft, meaning if they had found it sooner, she might have lived. The guilt and grief weighed heavily on him. It also strained his marriage, adding another layer of pain to an already broken heart. While many would collapse under such sorrow, Rod transformed his pain into purpose. He threw himself into advocacy work, raising millions for cancer research through the Rod Carew Children's Cancer Golf Classic. He became a tireless supporter of bone marrow donation, especially for minority communities. When he attended reunions of donors and recipients, he would say, "All these kids finding donors to give them a second chance at life. I feel like they're all my kids." But death wasn't done with Rod Carew yet. In September 2015, while golfing alone in California, he suffered a massive heart attack, the kind doctors call the widowmaker because few survive it. Rod flatlined multiple times between the golf course and the hospital. His heart muscle was so damaged that it could barely pump blood. Too weak for an immediate transplant, surgeons implanted a left ventricular assist device, LVAD, essentially a mechanical pump to do his heart's job. For 15 months, Carew lived tethered to this machine, carrying around 8 pounds of batteries and equipment. He suffered complications, including brain blood clots. The man who once glided around the bases now struggled to walk. In December 2016, at age 71, Rod finally received a new heart and kidney in a grueling 13-hour surgery. But the story doesn't end there. His donor was Conrad Royland, a 29-year-old former NFL tight end who had died from a brain aneurysm. In a twist that seems almost made up, Rod had actually met Conrad years earlier when the boy was just 11 and attended the same middle school as Carew's children. When Rod and his second wife, Rhonda, later met Conrad's family, his mother was able to listen to her son's heart beating in Carew's chest. It was a moment of beauty born from tragedy, something Rod knew all too well. The recovery wasn't easy. Rod described it as being like a baby learning to walk again. Yet even before his transplant, he had partnered with the American Heart Association to launch the Heart of 29 campaign, named for his jersey number. After receiving Conrad's heart, this work became even more meaningful. Some might think these health battles would leave Rod bitter, but time had softened some of his edges. In 2020, when the Minnesota Twins removed Calvin Griffith's statue amid renewed focus on racial justice, Rod issued a statement. While calling Griffith's 1978 comments irresponsible, wrong, and hurtful, he said he had long forgiven the man and didn't believe he was fundamentally racist. This forgiveness shows a complexity to Rod Carew that many missed. The man who once spat on the floor in anger had learned that holding grudges only hurts yourself. Perhaps his daughter's death taught him that life is too short for hate. Rod Carew was more than just one tough out. He was the beating heart of every child he helped save. From the abused boy in Panama to the cancer advocate who approached strangers in grocery stores, his journey reminds us how pain can either break us or reshape us into something stronger. If that story moved you, hit like and subscribe, and check out our other stories of sports legends who've lived through hell.